This whole generation has to understand that the thing they love is not Batman. The thing they love is Scott Snyder, and that's going to take a minute. And it's just the nature of that beast. I went through it. I thought I remember there was very clearly, and this is going to show my age. There was a moment when I saw a picture of Denny O'Neil, and I was so disappointed because in my mind he looked like Bruce Wayne. Instead of being this pasty old white bald guy, he was I thought he was just this ruggedly handsome black head of hair, no. But that's just it. I began to understand that they were people, and by understanding they were people, like Frank Miller did Dark Knight Returns. Oh, what else does he do? And I was part of that like Sin City generation that just was on rabid for that work. Hi, welcome again to Comic Industry Insiders, our weekly chat with the people behind the scenes of the comic book industry and the people who make the comic industry go. This week we have a little something extra. This is not me interviewing any of the insiders that you've come accustomed to, but rather me being interviewed as an insider for the comics industry. This is an interview I did with the Comics Pals, which are this crew of guys who absolutely love comics, and they put together this incredibly dynamic group of fans that love to talk about comics. They love to talk about the books themselves, about the characters and what's happening in the storylines, but they also love digging deep into the mechanics of how comics are made. And I don't know, I've come to really love their channel. Every Saturday when I have time, I'm watching and I'm in the chat. But you should definitely be in there as well. If this interview works for you, definitely go and find the Comics Pals. We're going to put a link in the show notes. And hopefully you enjoy this look at an insider trying to talk to folks who are not insiders and answer some of their questions about how this weird industry of ours works. All right. We will be back next week with another in-depth interview with someone inside of comics. All right. Enjoy the Comics Pals.
For pretty much that entire time, people have been saying that it was dying. Now, here we are in 2025. People are saying the same thing. But my question is, should we be optimistic? Because from where I sit, signs are pointing in that direction. In order to have this conversation, though, in order to answer that question, we had to reach out to somebody who has their finger on the pulse of the health of the comic book industry, somebody who has a hand, actually, in trying to keep this baby up, trying to keep it alive, trying to keep it happy. We have Mr. Prana, Direct Market Solutions himself. Mr. Adam Freeman has joined us. Adam, thank you for being here.
I wish I'd done the hold fast knuck tattoos for that intro, because that feels like what we're into. I love it, man. I feel like we're into an action movie today. Let's go.
Yes, absolutely. Got to set the stage and tell the story. Adam, how you feeling? It's been a while since we've had you on here. It's good to see you.
Oh man, I'm feeling good. I was just telling your crew before we got started that I might have forgotten we were doing this, so I may have just gotten out of bed. So you're getting Saturday morning baritone, Adam, which is
yeah.
The sound quality is going to be on point.
ASMR.
No, things are fantastic. The comic shops are doing incredibly well. We're seeing huge increases across the board. We are pushing some really amazing programs through Prana right now. We've got a nice list of clients. It's real difficult to complain, both on a company level and on an industry level. Things are really starting to burn really well. So yeah,
I love that. I love that as a precursor to the big conversation that we're going to have today. And I think that in a way we can all feel it. We can all feel it, even just as listeners, or excuse me, as readers. You can just feel that things are good right now. You can feel that there's a buzz in a way that there's not always a buzz in comics. So there's a lot to be excited about.
It's a Saturday morning here, so people coming in and out with pastries, and I just want to make sure you
Oh,
were hearing all
man, I
that.
want people coming in and out of my room with pastries.
Yeah, what kind of pastries you getting this morning?
Oh, I think there's a cherry cheese.
Oh.
Oh man, there's this bakery that does
Ooh.
these cherry and almond and cheese Danish that just incredible.
That sounds good.
Oh man. Anyway, sorry. Anyway,
Oh,
that's
it's
kind and
beautiful.
that's what it has waiting for me after this. So just know that that's when the light turned on for me.
I'm still running off 1 a.m. halal food right now, so I think
Oh no.
That hits pretty good,
I
honestly.
think I'm pretty good. Yeah.
Did you guys? I don't know. I don't want to get too deep into politics or anything, but have you seen the Mr. Cardamom rap video?
Yeah.
That
Yeah. I have. Yeah.
I had never seen it until last night, and just thinking about halal food. Of course.
Yeah. People wearing a shirtless with an apron is interesting. But
I know. Yeah, it's rare that we get to see our politicians wear shirtless, wearing an apron, and making halal food, but it's good. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. We should have that for everybody, I think. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
There's a very limited amount of politicians I would like to see shirtless. Very limited amount.
got it. Newt
Yes.
Gingrich up there? No, we're not doing it. We're not going there.
Not Newt, not Dick, not Bush, none of them.
Yeah. We did
Well
have a
done.
Dick and Bush administration.
We absolutely did.
That's funny.
We absolutely did. It was fun. Okay.
Yeah,
Hi.
fun. Yeah.
So speaking of fun, let's talk about the shared fun that we all have every single week, which is reading and engaging in comics. It's probably our favorite hobby. It's my favorite hobby.
Absolutely.
And it's one of those kinds of things where, for me, and I guess that's why I ended up doing a podcast, it's very hard to just be a fan. I love the industry. I love the people who work in it. You come to know the names of the writers and artists who make the books that you enjoy, and all of a sudden it feels like you have a connection with them. So you develop an investment in this industry. I think most people, and Adam can speak to this, who end up working in comics love the industry deeply because ain't nobody getting in here for money, right?
Oh, that's true. That's very true. I mean, it's like anything. There's a handful of people that, find that 1% that are that can get rich. It's like the old joke about, it's an easy place to get rich. It's a really hard place to make a living. But that's exactly what comics is. We all love it so much that we would do it for free, and many of us do, so yeah, that's it is that's exactly it. And we all get involved in the industry as a result of that. The frog finds the water boiling around them before you know it.
That's what Comic-Con looks like. A bunch of people, bunch of frogs boiling,
Exactly.
running around.
It smells like it sometimes.
But this, I gotta say, Adam, like this year at Comic-Con, it really felt like there was a buzz that was positive and palpable in a way that I haven't felt in a while. But you're much more entrenched than me. So what did it feel like this year for you at New York Comic-Con?
It felt like hopeful. It felt hopeful. And I think that there's this really interesting thing that's happening in comic shops right now, which is that they are just killing it. We just showed on Comic Industry Insiders, we showed some data that we're seeing from one of our POS providers or partners that says the stores themselves are 18% year over year, which is incredible, right? I'm talking to stores that are, I've got one here, I got a little post-it here. 32 years in business was doing 40% over last year. Wow. That's an incredible piece, because when you're that mature, you don't grow like that. So the stores themselves are doing incredibly well. 27% year over year for single issue sales, right? Who is that coming from? That's some absolute Batman right there, right?
Yeah.
It's DC and Marvel. The weird part about that, though, is all of that growth seems to be coming from that top end of the tail, meaning DC and Marvel are both doing really well. DC absolutely killing it, and it is because of that, though, that the sales are coming up. We're not seeing the same growth for even many of the Image titles. But definitely anybody in the creator-owned kind of space underneath the big three, they're not seeing that same growth. They're seeing stability, but they're not seeing growth. So I think that where we are right this second is we're just beginning to, as an industry, see the beginning of the dog man generation getting their first jobs and finding comic shops.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh, that made me feel old. Cool.
Yeah, right. Well, welcome, Betty, because that's just the first volley. It's coming for you, my
Yeah.
friend.
Oh,
When
jeez.
your head looks like mine, when your beard looks this gray, you've gone through this a few times. But that dog man generation is going to be like that's a whole generation of kids that is still not stopping, right? That just started off reading with comics. Comics was normal for them. It wasn't oh well, okay, our teacher was forced to use a graphic novel, and it was from the beginning.
Yeah.
Comics was real for them, and they're just discovering that comic shops are out there and they can go in once a week and it's a part of their culture and it can be part of their habits. Like that discovery, that is going to change the whole industry for a decade, if not more. So I think we have a long run ahead of us, and I think that the creator owns and everybody else is going to begin to feel that rise, that rising tide in a very real way.
Well, as you were speaking about that, because we had heard that creator owned was a little soft, it made me think about 2005, 2006. Things really started to heat up for the
Mhm.
big two.
Yep.
And then we saw just a handful of years later, things started to scorch in the creator owned space. So I'm thinking that that space just follows Marvel and DC. So when they get hot, maybe a
Exactly.
couple years later, we start to see the other ships rising.
Ding, ding, ding. And I mean, it makes sense for all of us, right? We go in, we say, "Oh, I love Batman." I'm gonna read Batman. Oh, the brand new Batman that I can start from zero.
Yep.
Great, let's go. Let's start with Batman. And then you go, oh well, this is so good. Who is this guy? Scott Snyder. Oh, okay. Well, he writes some other shit. All right. Well, I'm gonna go look for that. Oh, I'm
Yep.
sorry.
No, you
No,
can
you
curse.
can-
I'm
you
good for
can
you're
vote.
fine. You're
cursing.
fine. Yeah.
Sorry. A potty mouth. Anyway, so they go and find other stuff that he has done. And then suddenly, as a result of that, they start discovering, oh, wait, the things I love are
Yeah.
because of the creators I love.
Right.
And that's where creator owns start growing. And it just, I mean, we've gone through this cycle a few times. We've definitely gone through it at least 3 or 4 times in my career. So I'm not at all surprised to see that that this is where it's happening. And like I said, if I was looking to build creator owns right now, this would be a really great time to get ahead of the game.
Right.
You know?
And those
Yeah.
those rising tides don't show immediately. That takes a bit for
No.
those
Yeah.
connections to be made with the readership.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. This whole generation has to understand that the thing they love is not Batman. The thing they love is Scott Snyder. And that's going to take a minute. And
Yeah.
it's just the nature of that beast. I went through it. I thought I remember there was very clearly, and this is going to show my age. There was a moment when I saw a picture of Denny O'Neil, and I was so disappointed because in my mind he looked like Bruce Wayne. Instead of being this pasty old white bald guy, he was. I thought he was just this ruggedly handsome black head of hair. No, but that's just it. I began to understand that they were people, and by understanding they were people, like Frank Miller did Dark Knight Returns. Oh, what else does he do? And I was part of that like Sin City generation that just was on rabid for that work. And we all go through that in our own time. But the thing about comics that we have now that we did not have then was, so I was. This is for me is what early 90s, right? I'm reading Frank Miller for the first time. Sin City's starting to come out, but like, what else do I read? Okay, well, here's Watchmen. Oh my God, let's read some Alan Moore. Okay, now what? Here's Mouse. These are 3 books that came out in 1985, 1986. All right, what else is serious? Well, you kind of have to wait for something new to come out.
Right.
As opposed to this generation, this long tail generation that's going to walk in the store and have just an incredible banquet, right? And so what we're going to see, I think, is we are going to see an incredible increase of overall sales, but I don't think we're going to see as many hits. I mean, they're going to be the sagas, the absolute Batmans. Those hits are going to happen, but for the most part, it's going to be like a literal rising tide where we don't see, we have a whole bunch of stuff that just starts selling better. And that just selling better is how you build businesses, right? That's how you build lines, and it's also how you build careers as creators. So yeah.
Oh my goodness. That you talk about building careers. Whose career has been built more just off the back of the last year than Nick Dragotta?
Oh my
Yo,
god.
his line at New York Comic Con was, I never
Huge.
saw Nick himself. And just there's too many people every time he was around there.
And I remember very clearly, where was it? C2E2. I was introduced to Nick Dragotta, and what are you working on? And he's Absolute Batman. Oh, that sounds cool. What is it? And he shows it, and I'm like, what the fuck is with the symbol? What the hell? You know? Yeah. This guy's too big. This is too big. It's never gonna work. Yeah. Oh well, what do I know?
But I love that you say that, because what I think it shows is that DC was looking outside of the norm and outside of the typical to make something pop. And you
Yeah.
have to give credit where credit is due. I think DC,
100%.
I think Scott Snyder, I think Nick
Yeah.
Dragotta, I think Marie Javins, they all have their heads on a swivel looking at the rest of the world and going, listen, it's not true that kids aren't reading. It's not true that young people don't read. They're just not reading this. So
Yeah.
what do we have to do to get them to read this?
Also, there's a whole generation of kids now that has been raised digital. I have I'm gonna be 11-year-old this month.
Wow.
And he's been reading since he was tiny, but he wants physical. I mean, he's a real digital kid. He's had an iPad his entire
Interesting.
life, but he wants physical. And I've got a 20-year-old who, like, she buys vinyl. She doesn't have a turntable, but she buys vinyl because she wants something physical.
Yes.
Cassette tapes are having a day.
They
People
are, yeah.
buying
They
cassette
are.
tapes. I will tell you, as a child of the 90s, there was the cassette tapes sucked.
They did.
Right? I was in my 20s in the 90s, rather I was in my teens in the 80s, and they get awful. They are the worst possible medium, and yet the people want something physical. They want liner notes. They want that. They want the item, the thing.
When I
which
saw
is part of why we're
CDs,
building a magazine. But
I saw CDs coming back, and I was like, why? The
why?
vinyl, I understood. There's a quality there.
Exactly.
But the CD,
And the
it's like,
CD
that's
was just like
yeah,
bad streaming.
yeah, exactly. But
That's
there's a
want the-
collector's aspect that people want. They want to be able to see
physical
it.
thing they can
Yeah.
hold, right? And I think maybe that's it. We're just so used to treating our media as though it's completely disposable. Not even disposable. Like, you don't even have to dispose it. You consume it, and then it's never in your life again.
Yeah.
Right? It's never a part of you. And for generations, you would have to go and buy something and take it home, and you would watch it, and you would watch it again. You would watch it again. It became part of your identity, this item, right? That's why we have, bookshelves, because we have these things that are part of who we are. And I think that we're getting back to that in a way that is surprising to me, because I just thought that we're all going to walk around with Meta glasses on or something.
Apple Provisions.
Exactly.
Yeah, that flopped.
Speaking of wanting to have things physically, one of the drivers of sales in comics right now is blind bags.
Crazy.
And
yeah, I called that, by the way.
Did you?
2020, I came out of what is that Culture Con? Shoot, I can't remember. Anyway, there's like a sneaker and streetwear fashion thing that happens in LA.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
can't remember. Anyway, it was just before. It was the last one before COVID. Anyway, saw the people doing box breaks of trading cards, and I said, we have to bring this to comics. We have to. I think it's going to be like 3 copies per book, and then you get some. But they're just a single issue. It totally makes sense, but also there's some real challenges in the production. But anyway, I interrupted you. Please go for it.
No, that's fantastic, and I believe you predicted it. That's very easy to believe because you clearly have the pulse on these things.
I try. Yeah, I try. Yeah, but the
Yeah,
real
go ahead.
challenge right now, if you really want to interested in this, the real challenge that all of these producers are having is that trading cards have been doing blind bags, right? They've been in card packs. They've been doing this for a couple generations now.
Mm-hmm.
Comics publishers are, while many of them are printers, rather, many of them actually do have divisions where they do trading cards. They don't, they're not used to the idea of something being random. Right? We've never really successfully done that. Chip Zdarsky and Matt Fraction did a really good job of doing it, but they had to go to the printer in order to do that. So when they did their sex criminals book that was blind bagged,
Yeah.
they were able to do it because they went to the printer and basically physically inserted books. Like they had to do that piece. Nobody's really doing that right this second. They haven't figured out a way to industrialize it. So all of the especially DC, and we have one of our clients is Gary Vaynerchuk and V Friends, and they've been doing these blind bags, and they struggle because the printers aren't used to randomizing these things. So you'll buy, the whole idea is that as a blind bag, you could buy 10 copies of the same book thinking, all right, I'm going to get the special one. If I open 10 copies, I'm going to get the golden ticket. But if they haven't been randomized, you're either going to get 10 of the golden tickets or you're going to get 10 of the not golden tickets.
Sure. Yeah.
So we still have some iteration to go on the production side for this, but I think this, I'm really bullish on these blind bags. I think that we've got another at least 2 to 3 years of these being a thing. Everybody keeps saying this, the bubble's going to pop. Nah, we're not even close to this bubble popping. It's going to go for a bit.
Now, just for context, blind bags really hit the mainstream comic book marketplace through Invincible Battle Beast, which, I mean, that number one, that was so brilliant, and the way that they handled it. I mean, Skybound, but everything that Skybound does, I feel like they do right.
Yeah. I think it's top down. Robert loves this industry as much as he loves comics. You know, I mean, he really could have just said, fuck y'all, all y'all, I'm going to go be Hollywood now.
Sure.
But he just loves the comics industry so much that he hasn't built a team that is constantly tinkering with the comics industry and how it works. And that was just an understanding. That was just a real understanding of how all this works, is the way that was built. It's incredible. Yeah, it was a masterpiece. I mean, and we're talking about like a spin-off of a series.
Yeah.
Right. We're not even talking about something that was like a big one. It could have been nothing. Could have been a nothing burger, this launch, but it was such a hit because he understood the mechanics of how the industry itself worked. You know.
And here's the ridiculous thing. This is the ridiculous thing, and this is why there are a lot of people who are down on blind bags, and I understand, because obviously the 90s gimmicks was a mess. Got it. But here's the thing. Battle Beast launched on a gimmick. The number one sold crazy off the back of a gimmick, but we've got the ICV2 top 50 ranking for October, and Invincible Universe Battle Beast number 6 is on this list in the 12th position.
Yeah.
Number 6.
It's the only like indie. It's the highest indie book that's not an already established IP like Transformers.
Mark Spears' blind bags, the Monsters
Monster.
book is on
Forgot
here,
about that one
but
too.
we know about why that is. But yeah, absolutely.
Man, is there a story in the Mark Spears rise to power? It's such an incredible. I really want to do. Part of me wants to do these like 20-minute documentary like explainer videos where we just dig deep on somebody, like where the hell did Mark Spears come from?
Yeah.
You know, but
see, Adam, okay, so for those of you who don't know, Adam has a channel called Comic Book Industry Insiders. I love it. They're live every single Tuesday at 2 p.m. I am seated every Tuesday. You and Brian, I love the way that you guys talk about this industry. It's the kind of stuff we can't do because A, we're a bunch of goofballs, but B, we don't have the expertise that you guys have. So if you all in the listening world like this kind of conversation, they go in depth in a way that we really just can't over on Comic Book Industry Insider. So I would highly recommend subscribing. Again, not just the live videos, but they also drop some interviews, and you get nuggets and gems. It's great stuff. So check it out.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's that info that Adam was talking about regarding 18, I think he said 18% year over year. All that stuff we reported on here because of you.
Oh, that's excellent.
Absolutely. So you guys are pushing that knowledge out first, and then it's hitting channels like ours. We're one of the few channels that even covers this kind of stuff.
Well,
but it's you guys that's coming first.
I'm telling you, something I'm working on right this second. And I'm hoping to have it out in the next couple weeks. We should see. I want to make sure that I'm getting a constant stream. The numbers that you were talking about earlier, the Comic Hub ICV2 numbers, I actually helped put that deal together when I worked with Comic Hub. So I know where those numbers come from. And I will say that it is a disappointingly small cohort that they get those numbers from. And I won't talk about how small, but it is not as large as you think it is. So we are working on something that's much larger cohort, much larger group. I would say that we're right this second, we're pulling data from, in one form or fashion, we're pulling data from just over 400 stores. And we're going to be able to start, I think, you should call me on this if I don't do it by, say, the end of the year. Okay. I think we're going to start being able to report in our newsletter, at least, if not on our website. We'll be reporting every week. So
wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think that's knock wood. That's where we're heading. But yeah, right this second, I think it's those, getting back to the subject at hand. Yes, please do subscribe to Comic Industry Insiders, live every Tuesday, and we do long form interviews every Thursday. Is those blind bags, man, I think it goes towards this understanding that, we're selling fun more than we sell story, we sell culture, we sell narrative, right? We sell all of those things when we sell comics. We're also selling fun. And I'm all for 90s gimmicks. I think that they were so much fun. We had such a good time back then. I think that had the 90s happened after the 90s almost had to happen in the way it did in order for us to get to a place where we have so much incredibly well-crafted work, right? Because we had to go through that period in the mid 90s, early 90s, where it was just about, let's just get this shit out the door. Let's, Rob Liefeld can do the same page 8 different ways on the, using a light box and just changing the characters. I love you, Rob, if you're watching. But like he can do number one after number one after number one after number one and never have to do number 2. And eventually you're going to turn that audience off, right? That audience who's buying 20, 50 a case at a time of these books, you're going to turn them off. What we now have right now is an industry that has gone through that, understands that, and is now creating serious work, is making work that it will hold up and make you go read number 2. And I think if you're using that, then you see Exquisite Corpses, right? Or you see like Battle Beast, right? You can use a big gimmick, a big flashy gimmick to get it in a bunch of hands because it's so good. Number 2 is going to sell itself.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's where we are. Is that I am all for let's go gimmicky. Let's go lenticular. Let's go chromium. I don't, whatever it takes, man, to get people really excited,
Chromium? I don't know about that one.
I want to pause right now to put an underline on what you just said because it's critical.
Sure.
And this is what I've been saying. The difference between now and the gimmicks now and in the 90s is what is between the covers in the books. That is the difference. When you pick up that first issue of Battle Beast, you are getting, if you get the first issue, because some people didn't get it. I got the Invincible Spider-Man, so I didn't even get the first issue out that blind bag. But if you got that first issue, you read it and you go, wait a second. Holy shit. This is really good. Ryan Stegman, this is really amazing. Otley, excuse me, Jesus. You go, this is amazing. Otley. Kirkman doing his thing, and then you buy the next one,
Yep.
and you buy the one after that. I don't know about fucking Invincible. I never read that, but I'm loving Battle Beast. I'm having a blast.
Yeah.
From what I know, 90s were the gimmick was the book, whereas the gimmick now is just to get your foot in the door.
I would say that the gimmick, yeah, well, the gimmick was the book, and but it was also the style, right? We were really very much about artistic style back then. The reason that Image was able to do what it was doing, and you look at that first crew of Image creators, they were artists, right? They weren't necessarily, writers. They were artists, and they each had such a unique style that would sell. Todd McFarlane could sell Spider-Man like nobody else could sell Spider-Man, because he did it. He had a unique point of view on Spider-Man. And so they brought this stylistic change to comics, and that was super exciting. And so we used that style, and then on top of it we put gimmicks, and then those gimmicks sold number ones, and then we're like, well, why would we want to do number twos? I'm gonna spend my time doing number ones. Right? And that's not how you get people back in the stores. The value prop of the stores is that, I have a subscription, you have a subscription, you're going to come in, you're going to see the same story every month, and you're going to build a relationship with the people at the stores, and you're going to have that interaction, and that's what makes the direct market so strong. And so when you lose that value prop of, I'm coming back for number two, you lose the magic. And I think that's really where we went wrong in 93, 94, was you just forgot that the magic was bringing them back next month,
And also back then, the Comics Pals wasn't around. So
that's a good point. I mean, honestly, seriously.
Marco was still not even alive yet. You were still percolating. You were one of your dad's swimmers at that point.
Wasn't even a thought. But to the point that you're making, I think, and now what they're doing, and for example, I actually just have it in front of me. They're thinking about bringing people back to the store, right? I have this Dark Side card, the Watchtower security break, DC. That panel, phenomenal. The newspaper that was there that you could pick up, like all the, to that point about physical media. That is now the kind of attractor for a lot of people, bringing them back and retaining. And now you have the added element of a bit of risk in how you purchase the book, because there's a bit of accessibility. There's a bit of abundance in the comics industry right now, so you take advantage of those things.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just it. We're poised like at the beginning of a cultural wave. And I know, man, there's something that gets me excited to get out of bed every morning, and it's this. It's just it's time. It is time.
And I gotta imagine, like, especially like the absolute side of things, it's probably gotta excite DC when the strength of things like Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Wonder Woman allows a book like a Martian Manhunter to be the best-selling Martian Manhunter series of all time.
No.
And like I see so much Martian Manhunter cosplay on my Twitter feed now. It probably helps because Stannis Camp is online.
Sure.
But like that, I've never seen that for him in my entirety of comics like fandom before. So like now the IP of characters that maybe weren't as big can also, it's not even just the rising tides help, it's helping the IP as well. So the business side of things has to be a little exciting for that.
And I will tell you, you want to talk about a team that is murdering this opportunity. Those guys are killing it.
Yeah.
And here's a little behind the scenes thing. The last time DC had the kind of volume that they have right now, their staff was 3 times the size that it is. So that small team, that like skeleton crew, is managing this cultural wave, and you see them. I swear, I met with 3 of them over at New York Comic Con, and then I think I saw one at Baltimore. They just look ragged.
It's a scrappy team.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I weighed that risk.
Nancy Spears, who runs that team, even she is like, she's incredible. I love you, Nancy, if you're seeing this, but man, they just all look tired. They all kind of had that 1,000-yard stare, and I don't know that it's changing anytime soon, because They're not going to stop killing it, and who knows? Hopefully, they'll be able to hire some people and
It's
get
going to
that
be known
done.
as the absolute stare going forward.
That's the absolute stare.
And I guess from our end, we can kind of attest to they're at least seemingly picking the right people. The three of us had a conversation where we bumped into you, Adam, at the DC booth, and we ended up talking to one of the reps for maybe half an hour about the stuff that he's interested in. That he was getting a sample from our end, hey, you guys as one consumers, but also people who are talking about this thing, like, how are you feeling about X, Y, and Z? So that way I can kind of internalize that, and in our marketing or in our communications towards people, we can start to adjust and cater. That is intention. All of that is deliberate, and they're learning the right lessons, I think.
I think so. I am really excited to see how DC grows. I mean, we're reaching a point where finally, it's been a long time since they reached parity with Marvel, and Marvel is the king of the tricks, right? They know how many covers to put out to maintain their market lead. But I think that even with those tricks, I think DC is going to take them next year.
Really?
Unless Marvel really pulls something out, right? Because we don't know what's on the other side of Ultimate for them. But
I have a question for you about Marvel, and one that's kind of interesting to me. I feel like DC is really putting a creator focus on their books right now. Sure. Like Williamson, Snyder, everything on the absolute end. Whereas I feel Marvel is putting character focus first rather than creators. And I think they're a little gun shy about hyping up creators because of what happened in 2010s when their architects all kind of just bounced to do creator owned stuff and not wanting that to happen again.
Well, it's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's a cycle, right? We go through seasons, and as we said, we're going to go through a season where they're going to, if they have a hit, they're going to create the next superstar, and that superstar is not going to settle. But look at somebody like Mark Millar, right? Or Mark Miller, depending on where you are in the world. Like that guy goes in and out. He spends all of his time doing his Miller Universe stuff, but he also will he kind of steps in and out. He's a player that you can put on the stage as a guest star for a while, and then he'll step away. Same for Grant Morrison, right? He's always going to be part of our lives until he is done, until he's can't put it together cohesive thought because he's done too many hallucinogens. But he's always going to be coming in and out and creating that value. But you can't be too gun shy about that. I mean, yes, Spider-Man is always going to be the thing that sells the tickets, right? Wolverine is always going to be selling tickets. But if you're not creating that next generation, you're not going to get that next Wolverine.
Sure.
Right. You're not going to get that next X-23 or, whomever. It's just not going to show up. So you have to invest in those creators. And I think they know that, but it's also, man, we could do an entire hour on the Marvel editorial procedure, like how just the political mechanics of behind the scenes of how that whole crew works.
We might need to do that hour. We might need to do that hour.
Well, and I feel like Marvel is very they've really capitalized on the globalization of comics and creators and artists specifically.
Yeah, 100%.
And because of that, like, there's a lot of different artists in Marvel books.
Yeah. Well, and you'll see them because we look so hard at the data. I've seen kind of understand now a little better of their strategy. They will find an artist they like, and then just pump them up and make them into a superstar. And so you'll see an artist that does pretty well on a cover, and then you'll see 8 covers from them, like over the next 3 months. And so one of the things that we're doing with Comics the Magazine, we haven't really talked about that yet, but one of the things that we're doing is talking about what we're calling the pull box power rankings. And we're going to be looking at who is the hottest cover artist.
Oh, okay.
Generally speaking, the hottest cover artist is whoever Marvel has decided is the hottest cover artist. Now, don't get me wrong, right this second, I think it is Nick Dragotta, because the absolute of it all. But like they can create a star almost inside of like 3 months if they want to, which is really interesting once you start decoding that strategy.
Yeah, and would you say that works primarily for artists?
Primarily. Yeah, I haven't really seen them create writers that way. I would say that they do like that sort of, they like seemingly recruiting from that, I don't know, kind of how do I put this? What's a good metaphor? Like a minor league. They like kind of like watching the minor leagues of indie comics, and then bringing in writers and then trying them out, and if they work, you get a little more work. That is a little more organic, I think, for them than the artist. The artist, they can just find somebody in Brazil and go, all right, you are the next, you're the next superstar.
Yeah, like Ricky Yagawa is doing a ton of these Age of Revelation covers, and honestly, I fucking love them. Yeah. And then Marvel still does the Stormbreakers, so they will actually put their artists on blast, being like, "Hey, these are the ones to look out for."
Exactly.
They don't do the architects anymore.
No.
Yeah. So it's focusing on the art rather than the writer. Yeah.
Because that's easier, I guess, easier to control would be my guess. I don't know. I'm at that point, I'm just trying to decode strategy from tea leaves, and I'd hate to do that to them. I mean, they may have, it might be a completely different strategy for them, but you talk to them, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing in putting out extra covers and all the stuff all those games that they play. They know. And there's always people inside who are like, we should focus on this instead of that. And there's chatter, there's conversation, and that conversation, adjusts their strategy as they go. But yeah, I don't know. It's a fascinating crew. It always has been. It's been, I've never worked there, but I've known so many people who have, that I have this, like, I don't know, it could be a complete soap opera, going on inside of my head, but I feel like for them, it's the same soap opera. So, yeah.
So first of all, I want to say thank you to the over 100 people who are with us live right now. You guys are fantastic. Listening to a conversation about the industry. I love that you guys show up for these big picture conversations. We've trained them at them.
I love it. Yeah. I can't get 100 people live. I mean, we do after, because our show goes out to like 6 different platforms, and it's not 100 people that are live in the moment, but I mean, over a week or so, we'll hit probably 1,000 between all those platforms. But like, still, it's crazy that you get that 100 people up that early on a Saturday morning.
New York Comic Con needs to let us do a panel. We have panels every Saturday at this point.
100%.
Yeah. Yep.
It's gonna happen. Atomic Hound, though, dropping $9.99 on us. Thank you so much, buddy. I know you've been waiting a while for us to get to this. What you're describing is definitely playing out in my LCS. This week is Absolute Batman Annual, which is getting a lot of first-time comics buyers. Love to see it. Welcome back, Adam.
Thank you. Well, I'm happy. Data don't lie, right? It's it's telling you what's happening in real time, and that's just it. We're all just trying to decode this, right? We're all just trying to get a feeling for how the spider web is tingling and deciding where it's coming from. So yeah, man, so many metaphors this morning. Let's go.
Metaphor morning. Now, also, by the way, Atomic Hound dropping that gives me an opportunity to remind you guys that we do have super chats are open. And of course, the GOAT game will be played if we get to 10 out of 10 on that goal in the chat. Make sure you smash the like button if you haven't. Subscribe to the channel if you are not. We are on the road to 6K. We will hit it by the end of the year with your help. Jack G's been a member for 2 months of the Comics Pals VI Pal tier. Thank you so much, Jack. He says, hey, pals, I wanted to let you know that I left some fun video ideas in yesterday's YouTube comments section. Love the convos as always. Jack, I read your messages. I read every message. Thank you so much for the ideas. Putting together supercut compilations of reviews that we already did is a bit of a laborious task. We tried it. The numbers weren't what we wanted. So if you want us to do more things like that, you got to go watch our Ultimate Spider-Man and Absolute Batman supercuts, because otherwise we're just not going to continue to do that.
Yeah.
Editing's a beast.
It's
the
tough.
hardest part.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. We just have expectations. Our videos need to do certain things. And so you guys got to get those over the hump if you want more. So we talk about the sales numbers on this channel pretty frequently. And we'll look at ICV2 and we'll look at, what they push out for Comic Hub and stuff like that. And this month, October, I should say, we were all really looking forward to what the top 50 would look like, just because October was such a bloodbath, right? Like
Yeah.
you had KO, you had Absolute Batman, you had the annual, there was just so many big books that came, Absolute Evil, so many big books that came out. Adam, how much of your not how much of your day, but like, do you put stock into these numbers? Do they read significant to you at all? I know
I
that it's a small sample size.
Yeah, there I go through seasons. I go through seasons where I will watch this every week and I'll look at it and really try and understand those tea leaves. Now I dip in and out of the numbers when I'm trying to understand something. Right. So I'm trying to look for a comp, or I'm trying to get a feeling for what incentives or what programs are working or that sort of thing. So on a month-to-month basis, I don't really follow the horse race as much anymore. But as we are getting to a point where we're starting to report on these POS systems, I'm sure that it's going to become I love a good soap opera. So I'm sure I'll probably get drawn into it just the same way you guys do. But I also just kind of absorb it too. Like I've been doing this now for longer than Marco's been alive, and I think I've talked to or been a comics retailer every working day of my career.
Wow.
So I just can't not hear what's going on. There will be months where I won't go into a comic shop, but I could tell you what's happening in there.
Mm.
So yeah, yes and no is the answer.
Okay. Okay. Let's talk about Comics the Magazine.
All right, let's do it. Comics the
Yes.
Magazine.
So, and that's the proof of concept. Adam was at New York Comic Con, running around, and I say this affectionately, like a chicken with his head cut off, pumping I'm just kidding, pumping the Comics the Magazine, which is super cool. We
Yeah.
were all lucky enough to get a copy to look through and check out, and it's an amazing idea.
They're
I
going for
am
some
not
money on eBay, by the way. Good on you for not going after that cash and still having your copies.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Listen,
Well, no,
rent's due, brother.
I know.
No, but I didn't grow up in this era, but I have an affinity for the era of comics where there were these magazines that were really cool, that had interviews with all the big, editors at the big two. Jeanette Kahn would do an interview, and you could get in the heads of these people.
Right.
I love that.
Wizard Magazine,
Yep.
right?
Wizard Magazine,
Hey, nice.
right?
That was the thing, right?
Yeah.
I've got, I usually have another stack of these. Yeah, magazines were huge. Magazines were, I mean, it's really weird to explain to a generation that magazines were our culture. They were where we came together. They were our internet, right?
Yeah.
Because they would give you a monthly update as to what is happening. And everybody read the same magazine, so you could talk about those articles and talk about that. Magazines now they're still a thing. There's still a few of them, but like, when's the last time you went into somebody's house and you saw a stack of magazines on the coffee table, right?
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah.
I keep my place like that, but I'm a weirdo. So
Yeah, well,
yeah.
This does not surprise me. But that's just it, is that we as a society, we stepped away from that sort of format. And so we as industry people started saying, well, what's wrong? What are the missing pieces, right? What is not working for us right now? And I'll tell you, this is an industry focused conversation, so I'll have the industry focused portion of this. When we get to a little closer to start promoting it, you're going to see me talking about you're talking about spinning a different way. But as an advertiser, as a marketer, I'm asking myself, how do I sell to the people who buy comics?
Yep.
Now, why is this so difficult? There are comics pals, right? You guys have your crew, and there are other people like you, content creators, who are doing this work. But if you go into a comic shop and you stand behind the counter, which I've done the experiment enough times that I feel 100% about it. You do that 10 times, right? When you say to somebody, what is it? Why did you buy this stack of books? What made you buy this stack of books? What websites do you watch? What content creators? What Discord communities are you in? 9 out of 10 times, what they're going to tell you is, I don't know. I come in here every week. I look at what's on the shelf. I talk to my friend behind the counter, and I decide what I'm going to buy. That's it. So how do I get in front of that guy? As a marketer, as somebody who has an advertising budget, but I don't know where to spend it, how do I get in front of that guy? And the answer was, for generations, magazines. These monthly like updates on how things are going. So we started looking around, and I went through this. I'll tell the longer version of this story has people saying to me, "Hey, you should go make Wizard Magazine," and I said, "No, I'm too busy." Over and over again, until Chip Zdarsky came to me and said, "Hey, will you help me run ZCN?" And I went, "Okay, sure, that I can help you do." And we figured out how it works. We figured out the business mechanics of running what for him started off as a little newsletter and became essentially a tiny magazine. So we figured out the mechanics of how that worked. We figured out how to sell the ads, how the editorial should work. And then he decided, well, I'm too busy now. I'm running half of Marvel. Why don't you, I have to quit this. If you want to take it over though, please do. So that's happening next month. We have one more issue of ZCN that's coming out in the stores. And we're actually talking to him about, there will be a little baton that handed off where we're in that last one and he's in our first one. And we're going to start this in March of 2026. This was the 0 issue that I gave out. This is a little tiny 8 pages plus cover. The final version will be 3 times the size for issue 1. And I will tell you that several of the names we've talked about on here on this show will be our features of that. I can't say the names yet because we're going to get close. But also we're also waiting on, turns out when you do a magazine, you have to get clearances to show art.
Who would have thunk it?
Huh.
I know. Anyway, so we're working on that process. But coming out in March, we're going to be interviewing some of the biggest creators in comics. We're going to be working with the biggest artists in comics. We're going to be helping you discover your next favorite read. We're going to be helping you discover your next favorite creator. We're gonna have actual little original comic pages that will be,
oh, that's cool.
You'll have never seen anywhere else before by some of your favorite creators. We're going to have, I don't know, we have puzzles and games. Oh, one of the things I think is really interesting is there is no physical version of a catalog right now for the stores, right? There's different publishers will do their own. Like I think DC has one and Marvel has one and Image has one that you can print out yourself if you're a retailer. But so we're going to give publishers an opportunity to have catalog pages that you can be seen so that you can be deciding what it is you're going to buy next month, right? It'll be great. First week of the month and at your comic shops. We're working on other ways to probably get it to you, but for the most part, it's going to be on your comic shop shelves. And it's just going to be a celebration of what comics is, right? We love comics that we can't, it's just, I've spent now 3 decades doing this and it just gets you and it holds you. And we've created a crew of people that just love comics, that we just want an opportunity to get people to, read more, so that's where we are. We're building a magazine in 2026, which is, if you guys know the name Bill Jemis, when I told him this, he said, well, and the award for biggest testicles in the room goes.
But this goes back to what you were talking about earlier in the show. People want something physical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I would not listen. When we started that newsletter with Chip, I thought it would work, but did I know that it was going to go from being something that he paid for as a marketing expense and gave out 8,000 copies, right, to making it a profitable business, selling 25,000 copies of that thing to stores every month? No. Yeah. Why? Because we need something physical. We need to be reminded of who we are. because these things, they make us who we are.
I went to my shop looking for that first ship.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, yeah, I have a couple here. And I was like, hell yeah. Sick.
Who's your shop?
I go to All Yeah Comics.
Oh, you talk to Mark?
I have talked to Mark a couple times. Yeah. I'm mostly digital. So I've only recently started dipping back into physical, thanks to Absolute Batman. But
right.
I mean, it's getting me to go back in the shops.
There you go. There you go. That's the key. That is it. I don't think we're going to do digital for Comics the Magazine. I think it's we're going to be doing content, but we even talked about Comics the Magazine, the podcast. We'll do something along those lines.
Oh,
so, yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Comics the Magazine, the podcast. It's like High School Musical, the TV show, the movie, whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
So the chat has a lot of thoughts and questions about Comics the Magazine, which I'm grateful to see. Tariq wants to see a look of the inside of the magazine.
Yeah. Rico Renzi is art director on this, right?
Yeah, Rico Renzi is an award-winning colorist. He is the reason that Spider-Gwen looks the way that she does. Yep. He is going to be our head designer and is the reason that every page looks as spectacular as it does. It's going to be, listen, man, it's going to be a dense read in some cases. You'll see, like, there's a 3-page, I don't know, interview with Rob Guillory in here where we dig deep. And it's going to be a lot of that stuff. So it's, for those of us who have really struggled to gain back our attention spans, this one's going to be a nice exercise for you every month.
Yeah. Now, I know that ZCN was free because I got it.
Sure.
Is Comics the Magazine going to be, or will there be some price point?
There will be a cover price, but I don't want to get too deep into the weeds in a non retailer focused conversation. But there's going to be a cover price, and it will be priced in a way that retailers, if they are able to, if their business is structured that way, will be able to give it away.
Got it.
So if they buy it in bundles, it'll be cheap enough for them to give away. But they will be buying it. It'll still be an expense for them. So don't go to your retailer and say, hey, you should give this to me for free, because it's not free. Yeah.
So we will be keeping you guys posted on this, because I mean, we're all very excited about Comics the Magazine. So you will know through us at the very least when you can order it from your shops, and let them know you're excited, because again, everything in comics is grassroots. Yeah. And sometimes that can be annoying, but the facts are what they are. And so if you want this, when you go to your shop and you say, hey, Comics the Magazine is coming, I'm really excited for it, that's going to put it on their radar.
Yeah.
That's what it takes.
Yeah. That's exactly it. Is you need to, there's an old saying in marketing that you really have to get in front of people 10 times, right? In order to get them to buy, even if they want to buy, you have to get in front of them 10 times. And that starts with the retailer. So as a fan, anytime you want to be subscribed to something, or you want to pre-order something, just know that there's always a challenge in that. I had to announce this at New York Comic Con, right? I had to get this out there. It's not going to be available for order until December, January, something along those lines, right? The retailer won't be able to order it in their systems, their POS systems, until January. That means that anybody who was excited for this and went to their retailer in October, he was like, I don't know, but he heard it. And if you come back to him in January, he's going to have it in his system and you can subscribe to it. That's going to make all the difference in the world. So yeah, just know that you need to hit your retailer 10 times in the same way that we're hitting you as many times as possible. So yeah.
Yeah. We've flashed the book already. Well, more than 10 times on the screen.
That's right.
I found my cat rifling through my issue last night. So
oh yeah. Well,
it woke me up middle of the night. I'm like, what sounds like paper? And he just messing with it. I'm like, that's weird of you to do. So it caught his eye.
I know. You know what? Cats, that's a demographic that we're really valuing. We're gonna have an entire line of never mind. No, I'm not gonna
cat demo.
Well, what I like too in the issue, there's the comics section.
Yes. We're gonna be I think the plan is to continue that on, where each of us every month is going to have a recommendation, but everybody who's contributing is going to have a recommendation as well. So we're going to have a number of contributors, and we're talking to some of my favorite people about contributing. I'm looking very hard at the screen. I'm looking right in the camera. So the people who are also looking at their screens right now will tell me that they want to bring me a pitch. But yeah, we're going to talk to some of our favorite people about bringing us not only features and ideas, but also when they do, we want to bring, the whole point is to get people excited about comics, right?
Yeah.
It's to say, these are the things, this is the thing that got me excited to go to the shop. This is the thing that got me excited to sit down and turn my fucking phone off.
Oof.
Yes. Say that shit.
But I love the blue light. It keeps me awake.
We had a question from a commenter I haven't seen before. I want to just quickly answer this. Anthony Manzano, thank you for hanging out with us and leaving us a comment. Question: can you guys explain to me the difference in terms of comics between a colorist and an actual artist? I've always assumed they're the same thing. So that's fair. That's a reasonable assumption. If you look at most comics you buy, you're going to see an artist credited, penciler, and a colorist. So the penciler is going to do the pencils. They're going to do typically the inks as well. So that's your your raw image. That's your raw Superman drawing, right? And then the colorist is going to come in. They're going to look at the intention of the image. Obviously, you know how Superman's supposed to look. You're going to color that in the way the character's supposed to look. You're going to figure out what is happening in this scene, and you're going to color it appropriately. Colorists have a lot of ability to tell story as well. A colorist could say, you know what, this background will pop if we push that red in there because this character's angry right now.
Yeah.
We're going to go with the red that's going to accentuate their anger, the emotion of the moment. It's a lot of that kind of stuff. So colorists are a big part of the storytelling of a book. They're often not as credited because a good colorist, like a good letterer, goes under the radar.
In the background.
But yes.
Yeah, I mean, the colorist is almost like the cinematographer of the scene, right? They really can change the mood of the book. It's funny you mentioned. So in the old days, there was a penciler, just so that so we're doing some 101 stuff. There was a penciler, somebody who would go in and sketch out, what does Superman look like and what is he in motion. But he would be sketching, so there would be extra lines there that wouldn't be picked up by the printer. Then there was an inker who would go in and say, all right, that line, we're going to choose that line right there. And that's how this cape is being imaged. And so that inker would make a decision. Then there was a colorist. Back then there was a colorist and then a separator. Now there's a flatter and a colorist. So a flatter being somebody who goes in and says, all right, this cape is red, so all this area is going to be red. And then the colorist goes in and talks about what value of red and what gradients of red. So yeah, there's so many people. We did a real fun podcast panel probably a month ago on our channel, on the Comic Industry Insiders channel, where we talked about all of the people that go into making a comic, not just artistically, but also all the people that work at the warehouse, the people who work at the printer, all the people who what takes at the comic shop when these things show up, like the legitimately hundreds of people who are going to be involved in conceiving and making and distributing and selling your comic. We went through them piece by piece. It was fun.
Was that the hidden world of the comic book industry?
I think so. Yep. I think it was that one.
Cool. Yeah. I'm gonna share it in the chat right now.
Awesome. Look at that.
Matt Fisher dropping $4.99 on us. Good to see you, Matt. Says, congrats, Sean, on being an uncle. Thank you. Let's try and keep this show on track this week, like last Saturday. Well, first of all, Matt, thank you for the congratulations. I hate to miss the show, but there was a human birth, and so I did have to Thursday miss the show, but Tyler and Marco held it down. And as far as keeping the show on track this week versus last week, listen, dude, right now, Adam Freeman is here, and we are immature, but he is not. So we're going to keep our composure, and we're
Yeah.
not going to act like wild animals today because we have a special guest.
A guest is here. Yeah, yeah. You know, you got
Best behavior.
exactly.
Guys, come on. He's we got the you don't want to disappoint everybody.
Exactly.
No.
Oh.
You would be disappointed.
Yeah.
Last week we were talking about wild stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like I missed out.
Listen, this show is crazy.
And that was the 1 week my parents were watching too, and they decided to text me about
That's
things.
right.
Yeah, they're like, what's this mean? I'm like, oh boy.
Oh, that's right. I told the story. Okay.
Yeah.
What was
All
the
right,
story?
Adam. All right. Listen,
never mind.
I don't want to impact your purity, but I'll say this.
My purity. Oh, if you didn't know.
I went to a friend's house, and
no,
I'm not going to tell the
again.
whole story, but I'll just tell you the immediate fact. I went to a friend's house, and I walked through the door, and I looked to my right, and on his couch is a woman, but she's not a real woman. She's actually a sex doll. And that was how I was introduced to his home. Yes.
Yeah. Well, he said we had guests over. Bring out the fine china.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No.
Yep.
There you go.
No,
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're right.
yep.
Do you still feel
Tell
like you
that
missed
story
out?
Immediately, I want more answers. You know what? I'll go back and watch.
There you go.
There you go.
I
Yeah.
get you.
There you go. Thank you.
Episode 472.
Matt Fisher drops another $4.99 on us. I always wanted to be an inker. I wish I had drawn and studied more when I was younger. Age is nothing but a number, my friend. You can start today.
Kale letters comics sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Start right now.
Get into it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You're not in that car all the time now, too. You can start working.
Yeah.
I have a good friend, whose name I am going completely up on. So I can't tell you how good a friend he might be. He was a really good friend back then. Guy in his, we were in our 30s. He was probably in his early 40s actually when I met him. And he wanted to be a comic book writer, and he wrote several scripts. He was an English teacher. That was how he made his living. And he wanted to make comics, so he wrote a few scripts. And he was trying to get an artist and just didn't like the interaction with the artist. So he said, I'm gonna go learn to draw. So he sat down with all the artists that he loved, and he just learned to draw. And now he is a working Eisner Award-winning, best-selling artist whose name I wish I could remember. But yeah, I will say there is no wish I had done this when I was younger. You start where you start. We all start for the same place.
Dude,
right?
Didn't Danny Earls freaking have a massive career as a soccer player, and now he's a big time comics artist? Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah.
Seriously, there's the number of comics writers that we have who come out of the military or come out of having careers as in intelligence, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Tom Kings of the world, they build entire careers and then they come and become artists or writers. All of that, everything that you went through before is what's going to make your line interesting. It's going to be what's going to make your stories interesting. Right?
Nicole Main's an actress who was a DC character before she started writing DC books, and those books are fucking good.
Yeah. So no.
Yeah,
now
just go for it. Go for it.
We all start now. That's it. Every single day. We all start now.
I did like this one comment here from Super Job. He said, "Can't wait for Comics, the magazine, the podcast, the movie." We're in Spaceballs territory at that point.
Love it. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the truth. Comics, the magazine, came to me as many things do, as I was waking up, because you fall asleep thinking about a problem. We were months. We would just go back and forth on what to call this. And I will tell you, from a business standpoint, calling it Comics, the magazine, complete utter shit SEO. Awful. There's no way anybody's ever going to find this by Googling us. But it came to me, and I said this to the crew, and it was the first time everybody in the crew said, yes, this is it. And I'm like, well, shit, this is it. So there's no, I can't go back because it's the first time everybody said yes. And I had people try and talk me out of it because the SEO of it is so bad. But it wasn't until later that somebody said, you're doing Spaceballs. I went, oh, that's maybe funny. I guess. It didn't occur to me.
That's funny. One of the things, Adam, that had me excited at New York Comic Con was the conversation between Milton Grepp and I believe he was the CEO of Universal out of Canada.
Yes. Yes.
And I thought it was fascinating.
Angelo.
Angelo, thank you.
Yes.
I thought it was fascinating that Angelo's perspective was that there could be a greater synergy between comics, games, toys, and all that other stuff. Because he was saying, well, wait a second. We have in our stores access to the greatest and most popular characters in the world right now.
Yep.
And our store should be a one-stop shop for everything that you want from that character. And that made me think about this. We've got these blind bags now that printers and publishers don't necessarily know how to handle because they've never handled a random item before, but Universal does.
Mm-hmm.
Universal understands very well how to handle the distribution of something like that. So, do you feel that now getting in some people who are thinking more modern, who are thinking technology based, who are thinking about synergy, do you think that those are the kinds of things that are going to help the comic shop stand out as a place to go for all geek items?
I think so. I think that on a larger scale, I think competition is good, right? Competition means resilience. Competition means innovation. Competition means that there is segmentation, right? So, as Angelo pointed out, for the longest time, Diamond, when they had their monopoly, they recognized that the only way for them to grow was to grow more comic shops, right? And so they tried a number of things and they just could not make it work. They just none of them worked with that kind of culture. uh but what Angelo is pointing out is that we have all of these places that also have regular weekly clientele that come in on a regular basis. They're interested in these characters, they're interested in the culture of getting together and storytelling and all of those things. They just happen to be game stores, right? And there's more of them. Now, granted, they've waxed and waned during periods where comic shops have been steady, but these game stores, there is more of them, and they are of a certain ilk, right? They are of a certain energy, right? The second that comic shops maybe don't even have a same piece of. They are an incredible place for growth, right? Because they're already falling in love with Spider-Man through the Magic the Gathering thing, and
Right.
obviously everybody's watched the movies and whatever, right? They already know the Marvel universe, and so they're already doing games based around that. So the idea of introducing them to some of the work that we have done, right, that we've iterated over generations of Spider-Man stories, makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
And we're starting to see that, right? Especially DC is killing it by putting in those little kiosk, little pop-up displays in gas stations and in grocery stores and in Walmarts and Targets and such. We're starting to see that sort of overlap everywhere. So the idea that, let's focus in on how do we start introducing more comics into game stores and more games into comic shops, right? And because the comic shops becoming more less dependent on comics does make them stronger, right?
Mm.
If they can become also the place that you go and buy Pokemon cards when they're brand new, that means that they have more product to sell. When I ran a comic shop, this will date me, but when I ran a comic shop, one of the biggest months I had was selling Harry Potter books. The new Harry Potter book came out, and I figured out I could open an account and I could sell hardcovers. So those kinds of things make sense, for these sort of, I hate the word synergy, but it is one of those things that does work in this particular instance. So yeah, and Angelo and his team, I will say they have a history of not being exactly innovative on the tech side, for Canada, because they're a Canadian distributor. So they do have they do have a hurdle to jump over as far as understanding tech, but every conversation I have with them is that they are going to be tackling that, and that they are in the process of tackling that. They're going to be in the comic shops in the US starting in 2026. Comics the Magazine will be available at Universal. And so they are doing the work, and they did, I believe, I could not make a list of the people that I would have wanted to hire out of the death of Diamond that doesn't involve the people they hired. Beautiful. Right? There are some people that I think that they missed, but they didn't get anybody who I think was a schlub. Let's put it that way. Right? And they did get a couple of the superstars at Diamond. So I think they have everything in front of them to do this right. And I do love the fact that, you know, that PRH brought some of the systems that work in bookstores to our environment, and that raised the game of Lunar. Lunar's shipping raised the game of PRH's shipping, right? This idea of there's a certain level beyond which you shall not pass if you're shipping to comic shops. You got to take care of these little pamphlets that are $4, but like they're fucking gold, in order to make sure they get across the finish line.
That's right.
Lunar Universal is going to teach us all something, and we're all going to teach Universal something, right? It's just everybody's game is going to have to keep getting raised. And I think that's a part of the reason why I'm so optimistic about what's happening in the next 5-10 years, is because of that. Because we now have 3 different strong organizations that are going to be working so hard on the distribution side, right? And each one of them comes at it from a different point of view, right? PRH comes up for if you want to get books into independent bookstores, back into the Barnes and Nobles of the world. PRH is the partner you want to have in your corner. If you want to be treating comics like they are gold and like they're collectibles and they're like something you want to keep showing up for, you've never seen anybody who treats them with more respect than the Lunar Warehouse. It's an incredible, incredible place. You want to see this hybrid, this understanding that our culture overlaps with other cultures. Universal, it understands that in a deep, deep way, because they are they're a juggernaut in gaming distribution. They are already a massive company. So these 3 together, competing and making things slightly better and raising each other's games, it's so beyond what it is. Now, it does give us some challenges, and we could get into those, but I think it does give us a lot to work with.
Is it possible for any of these companies to be as technologically inept as Diamond?
You would need to be a 40-year-old organization who is still working with a data structure that was started when you started. Oh man.
I feel like 2020 was such a scary year for our industry, not really knowing what was going to happen. And the fall of Diamond was just something that I think a lot of people wanted, but at least for me, was something that inspired a lot of fear, because what's going to happen here? DC leaves Diamond, Diamond's in a lurch now. Are we just all going to, how am I going to get my comics? 5 years removed from that, I think it's clear that DC did the right thing.
I think so.
And I think that now we're in a place where, like you said, there's competition, which on a distribution level, the industry hasn't had in 30 years.
I will say, having been in this conversation, there's somebody I respect, incredibly grateful. I'm not going to say their name on this conversation, but they said more than once that Nancy Spears, in her decision to move DC Comics to Lunar, and at the time it was Lunar and Midtown, right?
Right. Yep.
Whatever Midtown's
DCS, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember now. It's been a while. UCS.
UCS.
Right. So I guess it would be Lunar and UCS, or DCBS and Midtown, depending on how you wanted to find them. Her decision to do that is what saved our industry, right? And the further we get away from that decision, the harder it is to argue with. That was the decision, the defining moment, because we could have gone down. that could have gone down with the ship. And maybe we all talk about, you know, saving comics and how what does that look like? It's become a running joke in our crew of saving comics. I really do think that there was one time when comics needed saving, and they made a hard decision, and it did change the game. Now, granted, it also toppled a 30-year monopoly, and there are a lot of people suffered because of that. A lot of publishers suffered because of that. And we're going to be seeing the fallout of that kind of ripple through our industry now for another probably 20 years. But at the end of the day, that was the tipping point that could have put us all under.
Yeah.
And I think that's I'm grateful they made that decision. I will say that it was a weird time because nobody could go out. Nobody could go to the office, so everybody was just on the phone. I spend 8 hours a day on the phone with people. So as they were making these decisions, I'm talking to them every day, and so I have I think some understanding of what was in their heads. And it was you know, they were just trying to do the right thing. And it was tough to know what the right thing was at the time, right? I mean, if you've gone through that, you remember it was tough to know whether or not to leave the house. It was tough to know when and where to wear a mask. Should you wear a mask? What is all of that? Everything was up for grabs. Everything was a question. And I think we go back on that period, the fact that they made any decisions during that period is incredible.
Well, it killed complacency in the distribution. And now they have people that have to change and iterate and actually make decisions.
Yeah. 100%.
Diamond was just doing the same thing Diamond did for decades.
Right, because they had people who would be there for decades.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, listen, I think I feel so bad for the people that lost jobs and have not been able to find them. Many of them are very good friends of mine. I have one of my closest friends is still in between trying to figure out what's next in his career. And he had a really solid job at Diamond. Yeah. I feel for them so deeply, but man, I look back on it and I just don't think it could have happened any other way. We could have. Go ahead. No, what I'm saying is this could have been. I could have been the biggest thing in comics, which is scary coming out of that, because I wouldn't have quit making comics. There's no way. I don't know what else to do. But I would have been, me sending zines to like 500 people or something. Yeah.
Do you think that's the most important decision made in this industry since Free Comic Book Day?
It could be. Yeah. I think you can support that thesis. Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. I am so happy that this is the way that things have gone. I remember when we first spoke to you, the big headline was Adam Freeman has a plan to save comics. And I feel
that was always tongue in cheek. I never felt that way. I just want to say I have never in my career had the opportunity to save comics. I have friends who like to make that joke, but that has never been my place. My place has always just been connective tissue. That's what I do.
But if we pulled up that list of things that you felt needed to change and be addressed, I'm pretty confident that a lot of those things, if not all of them, have either been directly addressed or are in the process of being addressed.
I have to go back and look at that list. I forgot about that. I'm going to have to go back and look at
I think you should. I think it would be great as like a retrospective to say like, hey man, these things are now being done. It's happening in real time.
I'd read that retrospective in Comics the Magazine.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be writing for the magazine. We'll see. I'm trying to do my best to stay. I mean, I can't. I'm a hype man by nature, so it's hard for me to not talk about it every chance I get. But I am trying to be behind the scenes. I don't want anybody thinking about this as any one person's magazine. It is a crew that is. Joe Keating is doing an amazing job of setting the tone of what this thing is. Rico Renzi is making the look of it his own. We have somebody behind the scenes, Megan Marsden, who without her, this thing does not happen. The structure that she's built for us only is the only way that this was actually going to work. And Gabe Yoakum, who's handling our sales and sponsorships and all of those conversations, man, I mean, he brings with him an incredible depth of experience that, you know, and frankly, a contact list that is the only way this works, right? Because the only way a magazine works is advertising. You guys want to go deep into the business of comics? I mean, I'll tell you something that we'll come back. Next year's conversation will be about is advertising will save comics, but we can get into that later. You know, yeah.
Gotta tell you, you got some nice open placements on these pages. So yeah, take a note.
Wow.
There you go.
Oh, what do you
Good
do that
size.
for a living, Marco?
Oh well, and to that point, I haven't had a DC or Marvel rep in years because that's not something that they do anymore.
Yeah.
There used to be a time where you'd hit up that individual, and hey, I need to buy the inside cover. Give me a square for X dollar amount.
Yeah. And that's just it. It needs to be we need that because this is how people are buying comics. But B, imagine if you're a self-publisher. All right, we'll get into this. Imagine if you're a self-publisher and I'm able to give you a revenue source that you don't have to go out and earn.
Sure.
Right? Let's say you're part of a network and I come to you and say, all right, for X number of dollars, I just want your inside back cover. And you know, that's one less page you have to design. It's that much more, one more step closer to profitability.
Yeah.
Let's say that I mean, you know, Marvel and DC, they know how to handle this, but all of those image creators, right? If they had the ability to know that they had revenue coming in that wasn't just out of the comic shop's pocket, like that would make a huge difference to the kind of work that they could do. Advertising, I think, because I don't want to shit on your industry, but man, like it's become harder and harder and harder to get any sort of ROAS out of those kind of pay-per-click advertising. It just doesn't, where did you start, right? Those ROASs were like 20. Now you're lucky if you get like 3.
Yeah, dude. It's become harder because obviously you can't attribute those things, but also everybody's just so focused on extracting that last dollar that it's all on digital because you can track that. You can at least say whether or not it's true. You can at least say, hey, I definitely saw somebody click through and there's a percentage hood that they made it. But to the magazine piece, the back cover of all of the DC books this week were Batman and Static.
Yeah,
and that
and was the ad in the latter half of the book. They give
preview.
like 2 or 3 pages of it. Yeah, it's internal ads.
Yeah, that works. That's that frequency. I bought at least 5 DC books. I saw that at least 5 times.
And that's the power of branding advertising, right?
Yeah,
as opposed to product advertising, right? So it's those two different things. It's that trying to get somebody to make a decision right now versus recognizing that I need to get in front of you 10 times before you say yes, right? Or I'm sure that number is even bigger than that. But for you had to see it 5 times and you're like, all right, yeah, I'm in for the Static book.
Yeah.
That's the power of this. And you gotta have platforms where you're getting that, where you're hitting them over and over and over again. I think that magazines were that for generations. And so getting back to that, especially now that we have a culture that maybe is ready for it again, I don't know. I hope we're right.
Common sense in the chat says other publishers like Boom Studios need to do their marketing better. Well, issue 0, yeah, Mary and Herrick, right there. Boom Studios,
book too, by the way.
Yeah,
Teeny Howard, Joe Laro, yeah.
They have that the PRH money to spend on building Boom, so they can.
Yeah,
right. And then that's the way it should work. So yeah.
Mitchell Baird. It's a name I haven't seen before. Thank you for breaking lurk. I love you lurkers. I love when you break lurk. It's fun for me. He says, good day. How long do you think DC Compact Comics line continues before they transition away from the format? Marvel 2. Watched your podcast this week, the DC Compact episode. It was a great discussion. Thank you, Mitchell. I would be shocked If
Yeah.
DC did away with the compacts, they're
Yep.
selling like hotcakes. I think they're making new readers potentially. We don't have all the facts behind that, but what I have always heard, and Adam can attest to this far better than I can, is that stores are seeing people coming in and eating these things up.
Oh yeah. I mean, when you get and there was a whole lot of direct market comic shop retailer pushback when they announced this line. And God bless them for continuing it on, because it has introduced some of the classics to an entire generation.
Yep.
That were not, there's only so many times you can sell the same Watchmen trade paperback, right? Before you have to do something new. And that format, it's just such a nice little piece. You want to walk around with it. You want to throw it in your bag. You want to read it on the train. You want to it feels much better, and it is that middle ground between manga and a trade paperback, a standard comic shop comic size, trim size. So I can't imagine. I will. This is an opportunity for me to give a plug for a client. Let's see. Let's decide which cover here. There we go. Here's a nice Mike Allred cover for The Future Is, which is the book. Hey, there we go. This book it is in comic shops every month. It's a almost cybercrime, but it was put out by cybersecurity professionals. It's like a technopunk almost story. Happens 30 years in the future about this group of hackers that takes down the man, right? Takes down the big structure. Anyway, issue 8 is part of a new story arc. It's our third arc. Our first one was the first issue 1, and then 2 through 7 was the second arc. Issue 8 will be our third arc. And if you were a fan of the telepathy tapes, there's going to be something here for you, because we loved that series, and so it kind of eked in. We're going to be doing that at the same week that issue number 8 comes into stores, which is in December. Is going to be a compact size trade paperback of the first 7 issues. And it's going to be, I'll tell you the truth, we did our best to make it as close to the compact, paper quality and trim size as we could, because it's the right thing to do right now.
Yeah. I will say, even as like a longtime comic reader as myself, these are impulse buys for me.
Yeah.
I'm in the shop. Like, I was in the shop the other day in LA Comics, and I saw Elegy, Batwoman Elegy in compact. And I was like, oh, it's only $10.
Yeah.
Why not? I'm going to read this again, and I'm going to gift it to someone,
The Future Is, by the way, The Future Is volume 1, also $10, $9.99.
There you go.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Good value. They're hefty books for a good price.
Yeah. And that's it. That's what you need to do. You need to make it easy for the consumer to say yes, because that's how they show up for volume 2. Right?
One of the pushbacks that I had, and by the way, I think the fact that so many people, myself included, pushed back on compact, pushed back on DC leaving Diamond, and ended up being wrong about those things, shows that, at least in DC's case, they're doing things that disrupt what is standard in comics, because they're looking and thinking outside the box, which is a good thing for this industry. It's a great thing for this industry. But my pushback was, okay, you sell these compact comics at $10. That is an amazing get-in price. But if a person says, okay, I bought the Batman Court of Owls Volume 1, compact, $10, I love it. I want the next storyline. I want Death of the Family. Now, that same person who got that first hit for 10 has to go to their LCS and say, I want the next step. That next step is at a bare minimum price, double, for the same amount or less content.
Sure.
How do you feel about that?
Well, on the one hand, I think there's a hedonistic treadmill that happens to all of us, right? Where I think there's a part of us as consumers that almost want it to be a little more expensive. Like, we want there to be a barrier of entry, so that when we cross that barrier, we're one of the few. So I think that there is some of that. I think that is still at play. Also, I think that there's going to be a point where the death of the family storyline has already been paid for, right? The A&E on that has been paid for a long time ago. So the question is, are they going to be able to sell the same volume of Court of Owls as in that format as they did? If they are, then there's no reason for them not to make it $9.99. So I don't think it's a ballooning of the price, but I do think that so long as you're using this as an introduction that gets people into other stuff, I think there's a little bit of psychology where we almost want it to be a little more expensive. You know, it's like having a sip of really great wine, right? You somebody gives you a nice glass of wine, you go, oh, this is really good. And you go, yeah, I mean, it's a little expensive. It was like $50 a bottle. You're like, oh, I'm only ever spent $10 a bottle. Okay, well now I know what $50 a bottle tastes like. I'm gonna go do that. And then you're at a restaurant and somebody gives you $100 a bottle. Well, I mean, now it's kind of hard to go back to 50. So that kind of, when I say the hedonistic treadmill, that's what that is, right? It's, man, once you get involved in really good chocolate, it's hard to go back to Hershey's, So we all kind of want it to be a little more sophisticated and a little more, a little harder to find. And that's why we all have checklists in our back pocket of the things that we're looking for in the dollar bins, because we don't want to have to spend $10,000 for it. So yeah,
DC Compact is the first hit to get to you getting artist editions down the line.
Oh yeah, be careful, kids, because these compact editions are gonna, you're gonna end up having.
We need to bring Dare back.
You're gonna have to buy bigger bookshelves than these, all right? Because they're not gonna fit anymore. Yeah, exactly.
Do you think though that there is a messaging? Maybe messaging is the wrong word, but you go to the LCS, you grab your compact, it's $10. If you want Absolute Batman, which is the new hotness, you're dropping $5 an issue. So one version gives you the entire story for $10. The other is $5 an issue.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a problem there?
No, I don't think there's a problem. There's two different markets, two different audiences.
Yeah.
Right. I love books, right? Books that are written by people who do a lot of scientific research and they will dig deep, right? Let's try and pick an author. Malcolm Gladwell, right? I've read a bunch of his books. I don't read every article that he does, right? I don't go in and look for every podcast and do that. And that's just stuff. That's even stuff that I could get for free. But if I was buying those magazines, those articles are in, those would be $5 a pop, right? But there are people who do. There are Malcolm Gladwell fans who need to get everything that he does, right? So that $15 hardcover versus the $5 magazine that only has 2,000 words in it, right? That's a completely different value prop for them. But for them, they want that constant drip, right? They need the constant feed. For a lot of people, a lot of people are going to be comics fans, and they're only ever going to read what's in those compact editions. They're only ever going to buy $10 compact editions. And at this point, you could only buy those and you would have a really well-rounded library. But if you really want to get on the treadmill, you want to get like deeper, you want to understand it better, you want to be, you want to sit with comics pals and be able to talk shit, like you gotta dig deep. You gotta show up at the store. And I think we want that. I don't know.
The way I think about the compact comics is almost like, do you remember PlayStation Greatest Hits?
But go ahead.
So it's for video games. PlayStation, Sony would put out the greatest hits. They were games that have already been out for a while, but they were well known and well regarded that they put out for cheaper.
Yeah.
That didn't mean I didn't expect every game to be $30 going forward, but it got me into video games. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have to remember, these are businesses, right? Yeah. And these businesses, what they did was they went in to make this comic, right? Let's call it The Future Is again. They went in to make this thing. We sell this for $4.04, but that's because we're okay with taking a loss on it. this should probably be a $4.99 or $5.99 single issue in order to make an actual profit.
404.
But we used the money that we got from this to pay the writer, the artist, the colorist, the letterer, the editor, not to mention the printer, right? Not to mention the distributor, not to mention me. But like we used that money to get to create the item. Now we're going to create a trade paperback. We're selling that for $10. Why can we sell it for $10? Because we already made the money here. And if we sell it again, we could sell that same thing again for $5, because we're just at that point, it's really about what does it cost to turn the printer on and to pay the distributor and the salespeople and all of that. Those things, because the cost of the creation, the A&E, the art and editorial, the cost of that has already been amortized. It's already been paid for. So if you think that, you know, as a result, well, this is just worth $10, you're a naive little baby, and you should enjoy your volume 1 and go, you know, go sample somebody else's culture next. That's fine. You're not in it. That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
I did just call part of the audience a little baby. I apologize.
They're
No,
used to
that's
it.
fine.
It's okay
That's
for
fine.
them.
They've called us
they are
worse.
babies.
Yeah.
I've been called George Santos 2 weeks in a row. So.
Oh
No.
I see it.
Oh,
I'm
God.
sorry.
I can't even grow a beard.
You should
Oh,
I got him in prison.
The little outfits. He had the little outfits. You should do the outfits.
I can't do sweater vests.
Oh, come on.
I
man.
run too
Pull it off.
warm. I run too warm.
the double take. It was the double take for
I
me.
do have to work in an office coming up this coming week for the first time in like 5
Oh
years.
my
So
god.
I will be.
Oh, here it comes.
God.
Here it
Oh
comes.
my god. The way he was stuck. Like, wait a second.
Is that him?
Oh shit. You really do look like him.
He's not as catty as I thought.
This ain't Halloween. Oh my goodness. Ted H with the $10. Really loving this kind of comics industry conversation. A comics monkey. See, he called himself a monkey. Baby's okay too. A comics monkey like me who's still learning really craves more in-depth content like this. Thank you to Adam and the pals.
There's that hedonistic treadmill, man. It's never enough. You always need a little more. Yeah.
Got to get that serotonin somehow.
That's right, baby.
Hell yeah.
We're happy to help you, Ted.
We owe a couple of wheel spins. So Tyler, can you
I'll do a spin. What do we got here?
Whenever someone gives us a $10 or more super chat, we have to spin that wheel back there, Adam.
Oh,
Drink up. Guys, you can have water now. This is the only
all
way
right.
Sean's allowed to drink water is if we get it on a spin. So
Wait a minute. You are guilting your audience into giving you $10 so you can take a drink. The option of possibly getting a drink of water?
Yep.
Okay, first of all, don't put it like that. But second of all, it's a communal drink. Everyone's supposed to take it.
Listen, I'm giving it up to the player. On that.
Look, order of Dylan says I've been waiting to drink all stream. Yeah.
See? Come on now. It works. It works.
Not a little gambling never hurt anyone. Well, actually.
Well,
it's hurt a lot.
It's ruined a lot of families, yeah.
Remember, Comics the Magazine, you guys are going to want this. We each have a proof of concept issue that's really cool, and it's going to be so much more when it finally drops in March.
Yeah.
Make sure that you tell your LCS owner that you want this, whether you tell them today, tomorrow. Tell them today, tell them tomorrow, tell them the day after, tell them in January. Make sure they put it in your stack. Tell them 10 times.
You got to tell them 10 times.
Be
10 times.
Like, be persistent.
Yes. Let them know that you want it.
Show them the stream. Be like, these guys, I want this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
A screen grab of all of us holding up a copy. That's
yeah, mine is
3, 2, 1. There we go.
I'll fix yours in post, Sean. I got you.
Thank you.
God damn it.
Thank you. AI. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I suck. Wait, is it here? Oh, fuck.
It found its way into the stack.